So I'm delighted to be here with Michele Chevally Hedge, who is a nutritionist and actually my nutritionist, I'd like to say. I first saw you doing TED Talks and thought, is this amazing woman? I just love your food philosophy. Yeah. You're an amazing nutritionist and you do really have a great approach to food.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Robyn, for having me on. And secondly, I think that I should start off with saying that people that love food are my favorite people. So I love food. I come from a big Italian family, so food is everything to us. It's community, it's connection, it's energy, it's all of those things and more. And I really have worked very hard at positioning myself as the nutritionist that can build well-being or build health without hassle. And I quite often don't mind when people introduce me as the modern day nutritionist, the one who likes a bit of coffee and wine. At first I remember being interviewed and being introduced like that, and I thought, and then I thought, no, I'm actually going to own that space because I believe that there is a way to wellness and have a bit of fun along the way. And I actually think that's the downfall right now going on in the health industry is people are so fearful that they have to make a monumental step to health and well-being, when actually it doesn't have to be at all. It can just be a series of itsy-bitsy tiny micro habits that leads to well-being.
Yeah, it's about moderation, isn't it? It's
Absolutely.
about normalising health and not just saying I'm now on a healthy program, but your healthy program be your normal day-to-day.
Absolutely.
Deal.
I really dislike using the word diet in anything. I dislike using the word detox in anything because both of those give a sense of deprivation or extreme or faddish type of place. And I want to normalize healthy. I don't want moms to say to their kids, we're going to do this low sugar thing or no sugar thing or healthy thing. Let's just say we're doing this thing because don't we all want to sleep better? Don't we all want to have more vitality, energy, productivity, clear thinking? And that's really what true well-being is all about. It's not the number on a scale. That number on a scale is a great measurement of gravity, but it doesn't measure somebody's good heart, their purpose, all of those things that, the ability to connect with one another. Those are the things that really define true well-being.
Tell me your view on sugar, because we have way too much sugar.
Yes, my first book is Beating Sugar Addictions for Dummies. So I've been researching the effects of sugar for 12 years, maybe even longer. I'd say if there's if there's two things that people could start to embrace and change, is one, just to move to real whole food, unpackaged and unprocessed. Why? Mostly because real whole food doesn't contain added sugar. And it's added sugar that's the culprit in so many things physically and mentally. So when we take sugar in, added sugar, and most of us are having 6, 7, 8 times the amount of added sugar in our diets than what the World Health Organization recommends, imagine taking 6 times the amount of medication, prescription medication, but we're doing this in sugar. So let's say we take these added sugars in, and all of a sudden it comes into our gut, and our bad gut bugs go, wow, fantastic. This is like a party in my gut. And we create something called dysbiosis in our gut. A big word, but just think about IBS-like symptoms, burping, farting, constipation, all these kinds of things. People who have these digestive issues, they're not energized, they're not full of vitality. But what's more, it is our gut that creates 85% of our serotonin, our happy hormone, the very thing that people are seeking when they have anxiety, depression, and mood disorders. So isn't that remarkable that it's created here in our gut, not here in our brain? So that's one big factor around sugar. The other big thing that we know with sugar is we go from a high to a low in a matter of 90 minutes. So as high as the blood sugar goes up with a sneaky healthy smoothie or a healthy muesli bar, as high as it goes up, as equal as it drops off. And it's as we drop off that people move into brain fog, low energy, or tiredness, or wanting just to
mental fog,
brain fog, the inability to connect, communicate effectively. But often at that low, they also want to be that person that wants to bang into a vending machine and hope something pops out, right? Because you get a massive sugar craving. So that high and that low is not only on an energy perspective, mental perspective, all of those things. And then also, well, I could say a million things about sugar, but I think one thing that people don't understand either is that sugar really is very disruptive on our hormones. So sugar has a massive impact on our liver, the same way alcohol disrupts and creates cirrhosis of the liver. Sugar does the same thing with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. There'll be a lot about that in the news in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, we need to get curious is something that you often say to me, and,
yes.
and it's true. And I want to ask you about your own transformational experience with food and just building resilience yourself on a personal level, both mentally and physically. So tell us about your story.
Well, I am super grateful for my own mental resilience. Because recently, in the last few years, my younger brother passed away from cancer as a result of 9/11. Many of these first responders, and my brother Greg was a first responder.
And a hero.
Yeah. And 6'4" and bulletproof at the time. And a lot of these young men, whether they were firemen, police officers, or whatnot, are dying of lung cancer. When he got diagnosed, he had just had 2 twin babies. And so even though I live here in Sydney and he lives in New York City, I traveled back and forth every 3 weeks to be the wingman. And I initially said, Greg, we're going to have green smoothies. We're going to do yoga. We're going to bark at the moon at midnight. And he said, Shelley, we're not going to do anything like that. I'm going to have a Budweiser, you're going to have a cheeky Pinot, and this is how it's going to go down. Oh. So, and that was what brought me to write my book, Eat, Drink, and Still Shrink, because there is a way to wellness without severe hassle or deprivation. And I'm a firm believer that there's things that we can choose, and then there's things that just happen. Like Greg, out of the blue, being diagnosed. He just thought he broke his rib. The oncologist walked in. They all thought Greg broke his rib, and the oncologist said, you have 3 months to live. So my point in that story is, don't wait till next week to live. Don't wait till next month or when the mortgage is down or your child finishes HSC. No, live today, live abundantly, and start with just small, tiny micro habits.
I think it's great advice. A Healthy View, which is your company, just tell us a little bit about what you do apart from your work as a nutritionist.
Primarily, we started as a nutritional practices where we actually see clients. But because I have a strong background working at Microsoft, I moved very quickly into the corporate wellness area. So I do a lot of corporate wellness, school wellness, and speaking in those spaces. And I love speaking at corporates because when I'm speaking at CBA or ANZ Bank or any of these large corporates, American Express yesterday, I can say, I used to be you. I was the time-poor person who understood the needs of managing a family as well as hitting KPIs. So let's talk about a way to wellness without hassles.
That's wonderful. So just to wrap up, just give us your top 3 tips for a healthy life.
Okay. Top 3. How are you going to make me condense them into 3? Number 1. Eat real whole food, unpackaged, unprocessed, as often as possible. If it's seasonal, if it's local, if it's organic, as long as it's whole food. That's important. Number 2, when you're eating that way, you're naturally eating low sugar. But point number 2 also should be really avoid any added sugar. Natural sugars are fine in your fruits and vegetables. And number 3, hashtag no guilt. This is the biggest thing. Why are people so guilty and feeling badly about themselves? If you have a bad night, no problem. Pick up at your next meal.
Just wrapping up, I would say the thing I've taken away from you is to get curious about your health. We all deserve to do that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Michele.
Thanks, Robyn.